America is a great country, but it is not without problems. And right here in California, two of the biggest problems facing us all is homelessness and hunger. Today, we will speak with the executive director of an Inland Empire nonprofit that has been doing its part to address these problems. You'll meet the executive director and hear about the Inland Valley Hope Partners when we come back. Hello and welcome to Doing Good in the Community. I'm your host, Yvette Walker. Today's topic is homelessness and hunger. Both of these issues are discussed and dissected by the media, politicians, think tanks, and the public. There are no easy answers on how to resolve them, individually or jointly. But today I'm with Kami Grosvenor, Executive Director of Inland Valley Hope Partners, and we're going to find out what IVHP is doing to mitigate this issue in our community. Hello, Kami.
Hi, thanks for having me here today.
Homelessness and hunger, not just one enormous problem, but two. Your plate must be pretty full.
Well, yeah, depending on the day, it can get pretty busy, but we have a great team, both of staff and volunteers, who really make our work possible.
Let's start with an easy one for you. When and why did IVHP start?
Sure. So Inland Valley Hope Partners started in 1968 with several local churches and the local synagogue coming together. They were moved with compassion for the people they saw struggling with, especially hunger at that time. And so they thought that together they could accomplish more. Let's pool our resources and really make the biggest impact for the community.
Had you planned on being an executive director for a nonprofit?
I don't think that ever really entered into my mind when I entered into the nonprofit realm. I just knew that I really wanted to help people. And so I've worked with nonprofits since college and really some internships and stuff in high school. And so in 2014, there was an opening for the Director of Development with Inland Valley Hope Partners, and I moved over there at that time. I worked with the organization for several years, and when the previous executive director retired, I got to move into her position.
Oh, wow. So what was it that interested you in taking your first position with IVHP?
For me, I've always had a passion for children, and I think it's a shame that in America, any child is dealing with hunger, let alone homelessness. And so Inland Valley Hope Partners, about half of those we serve are children. And so that's really where my drive comes from for the organization and what we do.
So when I look at your programs, it seems as if they could be divided up into three buckets.
Correct.
First is housing. The second bucket is food security, and the third is healthy living. Would that be a good way to separate them?
Yes, that's actually exactly how I present it to people.
Okay. Let's start with housing. Can you tell us about the housing program, how it works, and what results are sought?
We have a couple different programs in our housing area, and really the goal ultimately is moving people from experiencing homelessness into sustainable, stable housing, permanent housing for them. And so we do that in a couple different ways. We have the Our House Family Shelter, which is a 30 to 90 day program helping single women and families that are experiencing homelessness. We move them in, provide for all their basic needs, and really give them a respite from trying to just survive. And so we provide all their basic needs as well as supportive services such as case management, job training, life skills. A lot of our people, have come from tumultuous backgrounds before they fell into homelessness. Psychosocial counseling, which is really important for a lot of our families. They find that's really the most beneficial for them. And then we also have our rapid rehousing program, and that's a housing first way of doing it. And so what we do is we take families who are living in San Bernardino County who are experiencing homelessness, and through referrals from the county's coordinated entry system, we move them into housing as quickly as possible by providing them with housing navigation, with move-in costs and decreasing rental assistance. And then we provide wraparound services to help them sustain that once our assistance expires.
Oh my goodness, that's quite the comprehensive program. How many family units do you serve in a given non-COVID year, and how do you determine whether or not a family is a match for the program?
Sure. So really in each program, it depends. 18 to 24 families is kind of our sweet spot, so to speak, with both of our programs. And so with our shelter, there's a waiting list. They call in and find out if they're eligible. They do an intake screening with us, and then really it's kind of the availability of rooms. Our rooms are different sizes and kind of the makeup of the shelter at the time. Are they ready for the program? Because they have to agree to, there's a curfew and there's programs you need to participate in. Let's face it, not everybody's ready, unfortunately. So that's kind of how it works with the shelter. And then for the rapid rehousing program, our families are referred to us through the San Bernardino County coordinated entry system.
Okay, so can you describe the type of facility that the family stays in?
Sure. I think most people are familiar with the term communal living. I think that would be a fair assessment. That's part of why we call it the Our House Family Shelter, because it really is kind of our house. It's a shared living space, and each family has their own private living area, a little bedroom for them, and it can serve anywhere from about 5 families to 1 individual at a time, at 13 beds currently.
Okay, so are there plans about expanding the housing program with acquiring more living units?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Actually, we just secured funding to expand the shelter. And so in the past have operated at 20 beds, but because of fire restrictions, we had to go down to about 13. This was over a decade or so ago. So we're adding in fire sprinklers and doing some sewer work to handle the increased load. And so we hope to have 7 additional beds online by the end of this, hopefully calendar year, if not by the fiscal year.
Oh, that's wonderful. So for the second bucket, food security, it's really the distribution of food, or is it something more?
There is a little bit more to it. We kind of view our food security program as a homeless prevention program. By providing food, then people can take that money and purchase, bus passes or gas to get to work. They can pay their electric bill, their rents, those kind of things. And so while food is important and that is a big part of what we do, there's a little bit more to it. We have case managers there to work with families and try to make them as self-sufficient as possible. So we help provide any wraparound services that we can through referrals and coordination with other service providers.
Okay, wow. I understand that IVHP is operating several food pantry locations at a time. How many are there and where are they located?
Sure, we have 5 food pantries and 2 once per month food distributions. Our biggest pantry is in Silva, that's in Ontario, and that is the one building that we own, and it works as our warehouse for our other facilities. We have the Beta Pomona pantry as well as Urban Mission in Pomona also. We have a pantry in San Dimas and Claremont, and then we have 2 once per month food distributions in Upland and in the city of Chino.
Oh, that's quite a wide load. So who can get food at these locations?
Really, our goal is to never turn anyone away for service. But really, the people who come are known as the working poor. They're no and low income families and individuals, as well as some homeless people. We try to have it be here in our 13 city service area. But like I said, we don't want to turn anyone away from service. So if somebody comes slightly from outside the service area, that's not a problem.
Okay, so how often can a family get some food from the pantries?
Sure, normally it's every 30 days and then every 2 weeks for homeless. But in light of COVID, we've actually expanded that if families needed a little additional service, they could come every 2 weeks.
Are the food needs of those actually homeless different than a family living in a home?
Oh, definitely. Families often have access to refrigeration and cooking and all can openers, all those kind of things. And so our homeless population typically needs pop tops. They need foods that aren't requiring refrigeration or cooking. And they also typically can't carry as much food at any given time because they carry all their belongings with them. So typically it's a little smaller package.
Okay, so do you have an estimate of how many people are served through the pantries in a month or in a year?
Sure. Yeah, in any given year, it's usually about 3,500, sometimes more, sometimes less, per month. So about 40 plus to 50,000 or so a year, typically.
Supplying this much food for that many people sounds not only like a daunting task, it also sounds like there are some wonderful relationships with companies supporting the IVHP vision.
Oh, absolutely. We're called Hope Partners for a reason. We can't do it by ourselves. We rely on our partners, whether it's faith communities locally, whether it's organizations and companies, whether it's service clubs, student volunteers. There's so many that get involved to really make our work possible.
That's wonderful. And now to bucket number 3, the Healthy Living Program. What is it and what are the goals of the program?
Sure. Ultimately, we were finding that the people we served were not having enough access to fresh fruits and vegetables. And so that's really the goal of all 3 of our healthy living programs. We have the Pomona Valley Certified Farmers Market every Saturday at Purpose Church in Pomona. And we have some programs there that really help low-income families access as many fresh fruits and vegetables as possible. We have our Gleaning Hope program, in which we partner volunteers together to pick fruits from donor trees in the community. And then we also have a partnership with Amy's Farm, in which we help provide some of their water costs and some volunteers, and they donate a substantial amount of their harvest to our pantries.
Wow, there's so much going on to lift people up. How do you make all of this work?
Like I said, it's all about the partnerships. We can't do it by ourselves. We have a great team of about 11 employees, 3 of which are part-time. So when we're serving that many people, we depend upon our great volunteers and our financial backers.
I'm so glad you brought up volunteering. Is there a place online to find out about opportunities to help? And is there a screening or a training process?
Sure, we have a volunteer coordinator, and the best way to get in contact with her is through our website, www.inlandvalleyhopepartners.org. And so, yeah, there's an application process. She tries to pair the people who volunteer with the best possible program for them to meet their needs, and ours as well. And so that's a great way to get started.
Okay, so Inland Valley Hope Partner was recently named as a Lot of Good Community Partner. With that partnership, IVHP will get some financial support and a monthly allotment of gift vouchers for clothing and other goods to be distributed to the families you support. How does this partnership benefit IVHP, and what impact do you foresee this making on your families?
We're so excited to be partnering with a Lot of Good. And, some of the families we serve come in with little more than what's on their backs. And so they need clothing, they need PJs, they need, and really we don't have the capacity to store all the different sizes and things that anybody who comes through might need. So our families that are moving into their apartments for rapid rehousing, or even exiting the shelter into a place of their own, they often have nothing to make it a home, and it's a driver to keep a house your home when you have the things that you need, the pots, the pans, the furniture. It's one thing to move from homelessness into an apartment, but if you're sleeping on the floor, not that much has changed. And so it really drives the clients that we serve to maintain their housing when they have those things. So a Lot of Good is going to help supply those items with these vouchers.
Inland Valley Hope Partners is clearly making an impact on a lot of people facing hunger. With all the nonprofits, the leaders have big hearts and big dreams. Sometimes the dreams need support to get to the next level or jump the cash flow chasm. What is the biggest need that you see is needed at Inland Valley Hope Partners?
We're like any other nonprofit. We rely on volunteers and money and really partnerships with people in the community. And so we feel like what we do well. We do food and housing really well, but we need partners, to help provide counseling and all those other supports that are so desperately needed by our people. And COVID hit our volunteer base as well. And so we've been slowly building back up our volunteer base, but volunteers are definitely something that's needed at this time.
You've been with IVHP since 2014. In that time, you've seen changes at the organization, changes in your position, changes in the economy, and changes in donor. Could you please share a story that is special to you, of a family, and how they benefited from being supported by IVHP?
Absolutely. Really the stories that stick out are the housing, families that are served through the housing program. One gentleman was actually one of our first rapid rehousing program recipients. He came to us and he had one child. He was experiencing homelessness. He had his child living with a friend, and he was living in his car, and he had a former girlfriend come to him and say, "Here's our newborn baby. I'm going to jail."
Oh.
So now he has 2 children and is experiencing homelessness. And so he came in to our offices, and we were able to find him a place to live and really help move him along. We also help connect him with employment. And he's doing great there. He has become really good friends with the owner. He works at a restaurant, has really moved up the ranks there, has reunited with friends and family and helped provide childcare for him, for his children. Really just a complete turnaround in his family story. And I talked to him about a year ago, and he was looking at home buyer programs. So he had definitely rebounded in just a few short years through the help of Hope Partners and the people that support us, and his own hard work as well.
That is a great story. Time's gone by very quickly, and there is only one more question to ask. Are you ready?
Okay, I think so.
What is the one big takeaway you would like people who see and hear this to remember about Inland Valley Hope Partners?
Oh, well, hunger and homelessness is a big issue, and I think we can all get overwhelmed. One of the things at Inland Valley Hope Partners we have in our vision statement, and our vision is our community healed of hunger and homelessness. Mm-hmm. And so really, I think by keeping it local, if people can remember that if we all come together each day, we can get closer to our goal of our community without hunger and homelessness.
Oh, wow, Kami, it's been a pleasure chatting with you today. Thank you so much for being a guest here at Doing Good in the Community.
Thanks for having me.
And now you, yes, you right there, and you can do good in the community right now. All you need to do is go to your computer, tablet, or smartphone and visit www.inlandvalleyhopepartners.org and make a donation or sign up to volunteer to help them at one of the many locations. You can't make a difference if you don't take action, so do it now. And speaking of taking action, don't forget to check out the A Lot of Good thrift store located at 1980 West Foothill Boulevard in Upland, California. And visit the A Lot of Good website too at www.alotofgood.org to find out about the programs and other partners making a difference in the community. You can find more contact information and social media links to the Inland Valley Hope Partners and A Lot of Good in the information below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'm Yvette Walker for Doing Good in the Community with A Lot of Good. Remember, together we do a lot of good. See you soon.